All right. So today we're going to be going through the 2025 digital marketing plan. So we're going to be going through a lot of details about how to really prepare for 2025 and kind of start off on the right foot. Get your goals planned out. Figure out what you got to do to hit those goals. Today, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be going through all the different types of digital marketing for one, and then figuring out what's best for your business. And then we'll give you some resources too that'll help you put together this plan. All right. So we do have a workbook that we'll be sending you, um, that we'll be emailing with the recording of the webinar. So this is what we're going to be covering. We're going to be setting goals for 2025. So figuring out how many leads that you have to hit to hit your revenue targets. Talk about the 3 fundamentals of marketing success. Talk about websites and optimizing it for conversions in the new year. Talking about really the big picture with all your marketing and kind of how it all works together, so you can really increase that lead flow and get more leads. And then also talk about the latest trends, that you really need to focus on for the new year. And then we'll talk about and put together a custom action plan for 2025. All right. If you're not sure who I am or you've never been on a webinar with me before, I'm Alex Danner and the owner and founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, which is a digital marketing agency that works exclusively with fencing and decking companies. And I've been in this industry for over 10 years now, and started Fence and Deck Marketers with really wanted to be a value first company. So along with these webinars, we do a whole bunch of other stuff, whether it's we have the podcast, the Fence and Deck Mastery podcast, where we bring on all kinds of guests and have a lot of fun with that. I just released a book on fencing and decking marketing just a few months ago. We do social media posts daily or around there. And then we're also part of the industry associations, NADRA and AFA. Okay, so we only work with fencing and decking businesses. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff here today, but if you're curious, we do build websites, we do SEO, do pay-per-click, local services ads, social media, and Facebook ads are our whole realm of services. To kick things off, I want to show you kind of our marketing system. It's called the Omnipresence Marketing System, and it has 3 principles to it. The first one's going to be maximizing opportunities. So you got to be getting people coming in the door. You have to have enough people that need what you offer. So there's all kinds of ways to get opportunities, which we'll cover here too as well. But at the end of the day, you've got to get more calls, more people asking for fencing or decking or your services. So next is going to be brand impressions. So it's not enough to just do one type of marketing. If you're a decent sized company, and getting brand impressions, people really understanding your business is really important. I actually just heard there's a study by Neil Patel, who's maybe the leader in digital marketing, definitely up there if not. But he said that if you're selling a service that is $10,000 or more from business to consumer, B2C, they said that you have to have 23 touchy points with that customer before they work with you. So it's really important to have these brand impressions. We'll talk about that as well during this. And then once somebody comes to you, they're ready to go. You need to make sure you actually convert them. So increasing those conversion rates, getting them to be someone that's just interested to someone that actually buys. There's a whole science to that, and we'll talk about that as well. I told you in the beginning we were going to be setting clear goals, and that's what we're going to do today too. We want to make sure that what we want to achieve from 2025, we actually think about and we actually strive to hit it. Not just thinking, I'd like to grow my business, that'd be great. On this call, we're talking about like getting hard numbers and really figuring out what exactly we want from the year and, how big the goals we have are. So, there's a quote that I've heard multiple times from Brian Tracy. So success is goals, all else is commentary. So you got to be having goals, we got to be writing these down. If you're not writing them down, you're not that serious about them and you're very, very unlikely to hit them. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be really thinking about what your goals are for the new year. So if you don't have goals, it's basically like being on a sailboat without a sail, or without wind. You're just basically going to sit there. There's nothing to move you forward. and you're just kind of letting the ocean take you where you want to go. But what we want to be doing is figuring out what exactly we want and creating plans for that so we can actually put some wind in our sails and be clear on what exactly we want. When we have clear goals and the whole team is on the same page, that's going to help you build momentum to start the year. And then when you have a plan that dictates how you're going to get there, that's going to provide momentum throughout the whole year. You don't want to just say, this is my goal, and then that's it. We want to create some kind of plan and figure out what it's going to take to hit that goal and make sure, you're not the only one that's clear on, and make sure you have team members that are as well. All right, so this one's pretty crazy. I always like sharing this. So Harvard did a study where they interviewed graduates, and they basically said that 84% of all those graduates had no specific goals. 13% had goals but not written down. And then only 3% of the people had clear written goals and also the plans to accomplish them. So that study still blows my mind thinking about it, because it's just really crazy. So the results are that the 13% of the class who had goals, so 84 didn't have goals, 13 did. They were earning on average twice as much as 84% who had no goals at all. But the really, really crazy stat is the 3% that had clear written down goals were earning on average 10 times as much as the other 97% put together. So they are just leaving everybody else in the dust. And, that just shows to the power and why we really need to pay attention, to setting this and, being clear on it for your businesses. All right. So I want you to write down your long-term vision. So we'll start with annual revenue. Where do you want to see yourself, in where you want to see, sorry, it's actually 3 years, not 2025, it's 2027. So we're going to do a long-term vision of 2027. Where do you want your annual revenue to be in 3 years? Do you want to see significant growth? Do you want to double, triple your business, more than that? All of these are possible. So, think big. Don't come up with some conservative number. Think of something really big and exciting, something that scares you a little bit. And then on that same note, think about the number of trucks. So how many trucks, think about what you have now, think about how many you would need to hit that revenue goal and put that on there. And then why? There's no point in doing all this unless you have a why for what really makes, you tick, I guess. What's most important to you. So, is it something, more than likely it is, maybe it's something personal or like a family issue. Like maybe you want to have enough money to pay for vacations with your family, or pay for college for your kids, or buy a new house, buy a new truck. What is really what you want? The money side of it is usually not a big enough motivator. You got to think about what you want to do with that money, or what will be the result of growing the business. So give you a couple minutes to write this down. All right, so can you keep going here? All right, so let's get a current snapshot. So we wrote down our goal, but I want to make sure we have recorded like what we're actually you're making right now, or you made for 2024. So write down your monthly revenue, and then the typical number of jobs that you run per month in your market. Put your average ticket on there, your average conversion in the field, your sales conversion, or sales closing rate, and then the number of trucks you have. And actually, you can put number of crews. Let's do number of crews instead of number of trucks. We also want to figure out what your goal is for 2025. And then we're going to figure out, how many leads you need to get there. So say you're doing decking and you need 20, say your average is 20,000. You get 5 jobs per month. If you're closing at 50% rate, your closing percentage is say 50%, then you would need 40 leads. That's kind of how it would work. So you want to calculate these numbers to see how many leads you need to hit these revenue goals. So depending on what that revenue goal is, you can calculate it from there. If you know your closing percentage, and calculate, see exactly what that total number of leads are. And then from there, you can talk about, how to actually get those leads in the door. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about your marketing strategy for 2025. This is accelerated growth model that includes basically what needs to be done to have a well-oiled machine when it comes to marketing. So you're going to have the the main components are driving leads, maximizing conversions, and optimizing results. All right. So this is just another way of putting it basically, but gives you a little more detail. So between drive leads, maximize conversions, and optimizing results, when you're driving leads, there's multiple ways to do that. Number one would be organic, getting prospects, reaching your website through SEO, directories, basically showing up on Google when people are searching. Then you have your paid opportunities when you're paying for Google ads, Google local services ads, Facebook ads, your database, making sure you keep track of all the past clients so you can reach out to them. And then from there, your conversions, once they get to the website, you got to make sure that website is set up for conversions. So you got to have it set up in a way where it's easy for people to contact you or they want to contact you. You need to use your reputation. So getting online reviews on Google, Facebook, and other areas so they can see what people are saying about you. And then from there, automation, you can use automation for your clients too. Optimizing the results. So that's all going to be about the costs, how much you're spending per lead, how much you're spending total. Your return on your investment at the end of the day is the biggest one. So you want to make sure that you know what you're actually making from your marketing. Okay, so I want to see where you guys think you need to focus most. So you have, maybe you have an older website. Maybe it was built 10 years ago. It's not mobile responsive. Maybe you're just not getting a whole lot of leads. So you're thinking you need to do SEO, or maybe you are already pretty dialed in with SEO and you think paid ads might be a way to get further away leads because you want to have to go after a certain area. Or maybe you're just not keeping track of all your clients in a database. So write down, what you think you need to work on most. Like what's the biggest issue and holding you back? All right. So this is our all of our services. So I want to kind of go through the different options and what ways you can generate more leads. So number one, SEO, the free SEO audit, they're kind of combined. But SEO is always going to be the first thing I recommend. That involves getting your Google listing set up, getting reviews, as well as your website. Those work together to bring in a lot of leads through SEO. Press releases, that's part of SEO. It's just kind of a next phase. Google ads, Google local services ads. If you're in fencing, I recommend using Google local services ads. They're not great for decking. Google ads, those are your standard Google pay-per-click ads. Those are the better, more preferred option for decking. And then from there, social media and Facebook ads. So this is kind of the hierarchy of the order that we typically recommend businesses go in as they grow. Okay, so now that you know these different options, what do you think out of these? Is there anything you think you need to focus on more? I mean, does that change any of your options that you just wrote down? Do you think there's anything you saw there that you think you might want to add on or change? So if there is, definitely make that change. And then this is just an example of a website. I wanted to show you kind of something that you can use to see. Basically, things like a big phone number. If you want to convert people, you got to have a big phone number. You got to have showing off the work that you do. You can see some reviews there. You can see a nice, pretty image of the fence on there as well. So look through your website, kind of see how it stacks up. And then I'll also, let me show you some examples here. So this here, you'll see some things that we do, big phone numbers. We have them blinking. See a contact form that's up at the top. You see this Bowden floats around as you go. And then another big piece is, putting testimonials on the website as well. So these are some of the main keys for getting websites to convert better. All right, so the website is the hub. We're going to talk about this more. If you are doing marketing without solidifying your website, it's kind of like a customer asking you to rebuild or replace all the deck boards when the foundation is all rotted and falling apart. Same thing here with marketing. You don't want to do any kind of marketing without your website dialed in and really set up properly, because most people are going to go to the website no matter where they see your marketing. So you got to make sure that looks good. And to kind of paint the picture of how important conversion is, most website companies don't focus on this like they should when they build it. So it's a big piece for us because it just leads to such bigger outsized results. But I'll paint this picture here. So say you had 100 leads that came to you. Your conversion rate was 30%. You didn't have any follow-up. That led to 30 booked jobs. 30 booked jobs with an average ticket of 4,000 is 120,000. However, if you had 100 leads and your conversion rate was 70 because you're doing automated follow-ups and you're reaching out to people manually, you can absolutely increase your conversion rate significantly. If you're having trouble answering the calls, it could be even less than 30%. So things like answering services or someone to answer the calls is huge. But if you have everything like that dialed in, you can take that same 100 leads, turn it into 70 jobs booked, same average ticket, 280,000. So it is important to have leads. You need to have a consistent lead flow, but you need to make sure you have the systems in place to convert them into paying customers. So this is kind of how we're going to optimize for conversion, get the most out of the leads that we have. This is some of the critical elements to enhance conversion. So number one is going to be speaking to your target avatar. So your website needs to talk to the customer that you want. What are their common frustrations? Maybe they're worried about being ripped off, or their yard being turned into a mess, or having to be there while somebody's doing all the work. You got to tell them why they should be choosing you. On top of that, you want to be real, authentic. Put images of yourself. You can put pictures of your family, have branded clothing on. It shouldn't be a picture from a flip phone from 10 years ago. But have pictures of all your team members in a nice polo on the website too. And then you can also put videos on there, multimedia elements, so that way people will stay on the website longer. The longer they're on the website, the better it is for Google, and just the better it is for you too. Online reviews, we talked about that. Make sure you're showing all your reviews on every page of the website. And this should be every page, not just the home page. And then make sure you have clear calls to action, free estimates, your phone number, the ways that you want them to contact you should be prominent on the site. If you have any offers or coupons, put those on there. Make sure it's mobile optimized. More than 50% of all the traffic comes from mobile, so make sure that's on there. If you can manage live chat, that's a great option too. And then also booking online. There's a lot of ways to do that. I think a lot of the CRMs and like software that you guys use have options like that. You can also use things like Calendly to do it. So that if you want to give that option, that works. And then site speed, use page speed insights or GT metrics to do some page speed tests and make sure it's fast, because if you have a slow website, they're likely just going to bounce off. They're not going to give you the time of day. And then make sure you have these automations set up using SMS or phone numbers too. All right. So we talked about the real and authentic. Make sure that you have pictures of yourself on there, and the team, the video multimedia. So if you have a YouTube channel, if you were interviewed on a news station, or you have just video from one of your jobs, put that on the website, explain kind of what you're doing, how it works. People will get much more comfortable with you if they see you talking, like see your face. The social reviews, there's all kinds of ways to do this. We use for WordPress it's called I think it's just called Google Reviews. So if you go to WordPress and you type in or add a plugin, It's just called Google Reviews, and it is free. There's a lot of other tools that'll do it too. But it's important to have, you don't want to just type out the reviews. You want to have a Google icon or a Facebook icon, so that way you can click and go to their platforms and they can tell they're legitimate. All right. So if your website isn't mobile friendly, you got to fix that immediately. 7.26 billion people now are on mobile phones, 90% of the population, and 3 out of 5 consumers are searching for local businesses on their smartphones, so more than half. And if you have a website that's bad or it's slow, 40% of people turn to a competitor site if it's not loading, if they have issues. So it's got to be dialed in, and it has to look good on mobile. All right. This is some or checklist for your website to see if it's optimized for conversion. We talked about this a little bit, but make sure you have a phone number in the top right corner of every page. Make sure that phone number stays as you scroll, and then make sure you have images of your team, your trucks, your showroom if you have one, and then have some kind of compelling call to action throughout. You want to give them different options to contact you as they scroll through your pages. If you have a two-way chat or a chat bot, you can do that as well. You need to have a click to call button. So when they're scrolling on your website, make sure they can click to call and make sure it is fast, as we talked about. All right. So the website can be perfect, nice and pretty, but if it's not showing up for customers, it doesn't really matter. So you want to do searches around your area and see how you come up. You want to, if you're on a job site, search deck builders or fence contractors near me and see where you show up. See if you are showing up. You're not going to be able to show up organically if you're 50 miles away, so be careful where you're searching from. But depending on how populated the city is, you could rank 10, 20 miles away, things like that. Okay, so put a one in the chat if you think SEO is as important as it has been in past years, or if you think SEO is trending downward because of AI and all this other stuff that's going on. All right, see a bunch of ones. Okay. All right, so I know that was an easy one, but SEO does matter. Even with AI, everything is still going really strong, and this is the main lead generation source. So the map pack, which you see highlighted on the left, is going to be 71% of all the traffic, along with those websites beneath it. And then 67% goes to the map pack, and then the first 2 results. So most people skip the ads, and most people go right to the organic. So of course it does matter. Okay, so on-site optimization, this is basically like your website, telling if your website is optimized. Make sure that you have good content on there. It shouldn't be fluffy AI content. If you're using AI, you got to edit it manually and really just know what you're doing in general. Every service that you do, make sure you have a separate page for it. So if you're looking at, if you want to get even more in depth than just strictly, you do decks or you do porches, you can see here's an example. There's pages for Trex decking, composite, porches, wood decks, custom decks, full decks, all these things. So you don't want to just, stop at the surface level. You want to go deep, because all of these keywords have searches too on Google. So the more keywords you have, the more pages you have, the more things you're going to show up for, which is going to be more people on your website. Also, city pages. So you want to make sure that you have separate cities for all the, or separate pages for all the cities that you do work in. So you want to sit down, make a list of 1 to 20 or 30, and then of the top cities you want to go after, and then create a separate page for all of them. And then on these pages, They kind of act as like a landing page, but you should talk about the different services you do, the different materials you use, things like that. Put your testimonials on there, the contact form, all those things that help convert as well. Make sure it's unique. A lot of people will just duplicate content. You don't want to do that. Make sure the keywords are prominent on the page in the title, the H1 headers, and throughout the content. The meta description and title that shows up on Google, make sure that sells the click. Very small thing here, but put your name, your address, and your phone number in the footer so it's on every page. You need to do ongoing updates to blogs, adding new content, because Google doesn't want to see a website just sit there. And then you can syndicate that on social media as well. And then we talked about the speeds. Make sure you do that too. All right. So this is kind of a look at number of leads and cost per lead. So you can kind of get an idea of why SEO is so important. They are going to have the lowest cost per lead. So this is just an example of a total investment, $3,310. And that led to 367 leads or $9.02 per lead. So when you look at everything, all the different options that you can show up for, it is going to be the lowest cost per lead. The big catch is it's going to take time. So SEO doesn't just work right away. It's not like ads where you can just pay to go to the top. It does take time. So expect months worth of time before it's really comes to fruition. This is just an example of a client that we have here in Delaware, some rankings there, but you want to be ranking in that MAC pack at the very least. All right, so ask yourself, is your site properly optimized? So if you have a website, make sure that the title tag has that keyword in the title. Make sure the H1, the HTML H1 header has it. Make sure your H2, your H3, they all have it. Make sure your images have the keyword in the alt image tag. And then over 1,000 words of content per page is ideal. I would say at least 700 words is what you want. So if you're not seeing any of these things on your pages, it's something you got to update immediately because it's not going to help you with SEO and ranking higher. All right, so off page, these are the things that happen off of your website. Your Google listing, have to get that, have to optimize it. Make sure you have a lot of citations, which are just your business information on other websites. Build those online reviews. These are some options to give you more reviews. Get more backlinks. This can be tricky, but you have to get a lot of backlinks. You don't want spam ones. You want good ones that are within the niche or somehow related. And then make sure that you are taking that content and syndicating it on other platforms. So not just putting it on your website. All right, we touched on backlinks just this last slide, but I wanted to see, or I want to touch on this because it's probably one of the hardest things to actually do yourself. But backlinks are basically, if somebody, you've probably seen this, if you're on a blog post or you're reading something online and then you see something like text that's clickable and then it goes to a completely different website, that would be a backlink for the website that you go to. So to get backlinks, you want people having links to your site on their site. And if you have links, if you get a lot of quality links, you're going to really put yourself in a good position because you're going to be building that authority with Google. So Google kind of treats it like a popularity contest is how I like to think of it. If they see your website's being talked about, everyone's talking about it everywhere, they're going to think, hey, these guys are doing something right. They must have a website that people care about. Let's put it, let's rank them higher. All right. So this is kind of the breakdown of SEO. So we talked about the on page. We talked about the Google business profile. Some things to add here. Use Yext to build these citations. You can build data aggregators. Those are just basically databases of business information that websites pull from. So you want to have your information on there. Make sure you're getting those reviews. I can't emphasize that enough. We talked about the blog posts, getting more links. That's how you're going to get your better rankings. All right. So if you're looking at your website, this is how you'll know if it's optimized for search engines. We had a slide on this, but this takes it a little bit further. Make sure that you have in your title that main keyword, a page for all of your services, and go deep. Have a page for all the cities you do work in. All the pages or the brands that you work with, have pages for those. Make sure all that content's unique, don't duplicate. And then really check to see what you're ranking for. There's tools that'll show you which keywords are being searched the most. So if you type in, your city, Baltimore fence contractor, Dallas fence contractor, whatever, see how you're showing up. If you're not showing up, there's a big opportunity there. And then make sure you're creating new content consistently. All right, so on the SEO side, would like to see some takeaways, see what you guys learned, what'd you notice. So if you could just let us know what came in or what you thought. All right, so importance of reviews. Yep, reviews can be more important. Google keeps increasing the ranking percentage for that, so you got to make sure you get a lot of those. Backlinks, yeah. So they are tricky to do. I mean, I don't really have a great way to build them without some experience, I guess, but an SEO person will be able to help with that. All right, let's keep on rolling. All right, so along within the organic website results, you also want to make sure you see if you're ranking on the Google Maps. So you can do these same searches we were just talking about, type in fence contractor near me or deck builder near me and see if you show up in the organic maps. I think by now you guys probably get that Google Maps do matter. They are incredibly important and bigger than ever, I would say. And the main reason is most people, as we figured out, skip the ads. Around 30% of people go to the ads, but 45%, almost half of all the leads, go to the map pack, which is what's highlighted here. So if you're not showing up there, you're missing out on a ton of business. And to take matters even further, so 87% of people, when they're looking for a service provider, do go to Google. So you're missing out on 45% of almost all of the people. Most people are going there. All right. Here's just a picture. You can kind of see the layout of how the calls work. Just the Google listing alone should be a very significant part of your leads. These are just some screenshots of ones we've gotten, but you'll notice if you do SEO right, most of your calls should be coming from the Google listing. All right. So we're going to be talking about our proven formula for getting ranked in the 3-pack. So, oops, too far. All right. So to getting ranked there, first things, you got to optimize your Google listing. You need to make sure you have the right category. So your primary category should be what you want most. If you're a deck builder, should be deck builder, fence contractor. Add secondary categories for other services that you do. Make sure you have a ton of photos. Put 3 to 5 photos of every service you do, but ideally a lot more than that. Make sure your business description set up properly and has all your keywords in it. Make sure you add every service. So just as you get very detailed with the number of services on your website, you want to get as deep or even deeper on your Google listing. Make sure you list out the services and make sure you list out a description for each one, and then add them as products. So you can also add products to your Google listing. So every service you have, make sure to add it as a product as well. From there, you want to add these citations or directories. That's what this crazy looking thing up here is. If you use programs like Yext, you'll be able to add these automatically, and they'll do it much quicker than doing it manually, but you can do it manually if you want. Then you need to make sure the reviews are really good. Make sure you're at least 30 reviews just to start, and then check your competition and make sure you have more than them, or you're trying to get more than them. On-page SEO, we talked about that. So all of these things work together to get those map pack rankings. That's how you get them. All right. So if you're curious if you are optimized to rank on Google Maps, ask yourself, of course, if you are verified, make sure you are. Make sure you have the login for it. Make sure you optimized everything properly. Make sure you're using something like Yext to get your directories in order. Make sure you have enough reviews. Make sure you're at least competitive, ideally blowing them away. If you have, 100 reviews and your next closest competitor has 20, or you have 400 reviews and your next closest is 50, you're going to instantly be seen as the better option, and they're going to reach out to you. So that's very, very important to do. Make sure you have that system dialed in. Make sure you have a system to get reviews consistently. And then also posting to Google, your Google business profile. All right, so we're going to talk about paid marketing opportunities. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Google Ads really make a significant difference with ROI. Put a 2 in there if you don't. All right, mostly 1s, see a couple 2s. If Google Ads aren't done right, they will not drive a positive ROI. So we hear it all the time that they're not doing it. They just have to be done in a very particular way. But if they are done right, they absolutely can help you, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so Google Ads are never going to get the cost per lead that you will with SEO. And quite honestly, these numbers are probably a little bit low. These are close to the fencing side, but if you have them dialed in, if you have landing pages set up, if you are monitoring it and improving it every time, you absolutely can get a positive ROI. So this is just an example. If you had 224 leads, 40% were converted, that would be 90 booked jobs. If you have an average ticket of 1,000, which is, I think it meant to be 10,000, that would be 90,000 or 900,000. So absolutely can get a positive ROI, really get a positive return on the money that you spend. You just got to make sure that you're doing it right, because it can absolutely waste money very fast if you're not doing it correctly. But here's the reasons why they aren't done correctly. If you have all of everything you're doing, if you're doing fencing and decking, or you're doing remodeling services, you need to make sure you have everything separate in different ad groups. You don't want them all combined. And you want to make sure everything is specific to those services. So you should have an ad that talks about the service. You should have a separate landing page that talks about the service that they click on. And then that landing page should be optimized for everything correctly too. You also need to make sure you have a strong call to action or an offer that will get people to click. All right. Next, I want to talk to you about local services ads. To make sure clear, they are much better for fencing than they are for decking. I don't even really use them for decking because it's kind of it just doesn't get great results. But fencing, they're a little bit more dialed in. They're excellent for fencing because they are pay per lead. So you only pay if somebody actually contacts you, if somebody reaches out. Otherwise, you don't have to pay. Whereas the previous type of ad we were talking about, if somebody clicks on your ad and they go there and they don't buy, you still get charged for it. And you can also get leads disputed, which is huge too. But I will say, if you do local services ads, make sure you are positive someone's going to answer in the phone, because we have seen it where somebody misses a call and then it really just screws up their account. Like they are unable to get more leads after that. So make sure you have an answering service or somebody that's never going to miss a call. Ideally, a really good answering service that's going to help you out a lot. All right. So if you're kind of wondering, are you taking advantage of paid online marketing? Ask yourself, are you using a maxed out budget for Google Local Services ads? You can always increase it. Um, are you adding retargeting ads? So if somebody clicks on your website or one of your marketing assets, are you retargeting them with additional ads? Are you running Google ads, pay-per-click ads? Are you using those separate ad groups, proper text ads and landing pages? Are you tracking all of this? This is a big one. So make sure that you have some kind of conversion tracking that's proper. For us, we use a program called What Converts, where we have different tracking numbers for everything. This gives you an idea, a much clearer idea if leads are actually legitimate or not. And then also Facebook ads, if you're running those, make sure you're going to your ideal customer base. The premium ads on Angie's List, I'm not a huge fan of those. Probably should take that off. Same thing with Home Advisor. I would, for the most part, avoid them. They're gotten pretty bad lately. All right. So takeaways. What did you guys learn? What did you guys think of this segment? Put any comments you have in the comments. Google ads can actually be done right. Yeah, they can actually give you a return. That's definitely definitely can be uncommon, but it does work. You can generate it. Also, the local services ads. Yeah, that's a great way, especially on the fencing side. Social media. So we'll talk about that next. And basically everything that needs to go into social media and how you can properly do it. So with social media, it is something that you need to be consistent with. You don't want to do just one post a week or a month. We say 3 to 4 times a week at least. That helps stay on the algorithm, helps with the algorithm and ranking more. Repeat business, it's huge for, because you have businesses that, or you have customers that you do work for, and then they follow you, they already know you, and then you post more stuff, and you can post, other types of work that you do and remind them of the stuff you do. Or if one of their friends or family members wants to build something, build a deck or a fence, you can refer them that way too. So it ends up being a lot more repeat business. So to kind of paint the picture, so on social media, there are 4.48 billion users. I think that might actually be low now. I think it might be closer to 6, but uh, the average user has 135 friends. So everybody's got friends on there for the most part. And when they share something, somebody else can see it. So you want to get in front of their friends as well. And a lot of times their friends are the people that are close to them, live close to them. So you can take advantage of that too. And a staggering 6 to 9 times per day, people go to social media. So they've got us hooked. We're all guilty of it. So you want to at least take advantage of it and use it to help your business. All right. So social media profiles. I would definitely recommend getting on Facebook and Instagram as probably the top ones. You can have a YouTube channel and have a bunch of cool videos on there. Twitter and link or X now, LinkedIn. You want to ask yourself if you're getting engagement. If not, try to get more people in there. You can run ads too. Make sure you're updating the social profiles consistently. Like I said, make sure you're getting enough people coming in or enough posts going out. All right. And then I'm curious to see what everyone thinks the biggest issue, that basically marketing, fencing and decking companies are facing. The one that we see the biggest is going to be unconverted leads. So people that come in, reach out, and then nobody gets back to them. They don't get response, so you just kind of give up. 50 to 60% of inbound leads leave unconverted. So you're not alone if you're the only one doing this. And then 90% of web forms fail to convert. So this sucks. You got to do better than, you've got to beat that, I guess, norm or that average, because it's just the opportunity's there. You don't want to lose out on it. And you want to make sure you're responding to people fast. That's kind of the key. You don't want to miss a bunch of calls and get back to them within hours. As soon as they call, have somebody pick up. Um, the amount of the conversion percentages go down a ton after like a couple of minutes. So you got to reach out to them quick. You don't want them calling a competitor. So leads that are followed up within 15 minutes go cold. I think it is a little bit less than that. But 15 minutes, they can go cold or they moved on to something else, which you don't want. The average customer must be followed up with 5 to 7 times before booking. So don't think, just that one call is going to close it. It might, but it's unlikely if you're selling something expensive. And customers nowadays, they like using text, they like using phone calls or emails, not necessarily a call. Some do, phone or email, or use less and less. So texting is a huge piece of how people interact. So getting somebody to text back and forth can lead to a lot. I use it all the time. So I know there's a lot of you guys out there that like texting too. So use that with your customers as well. All right. So if you have a hard time reaching out to somebody or picking up on every call, you can use automation to send text after they submit the form, send an email, and then on top of calling somebody, it should be within the first 2 minutes. But reach out to them, give them a call, send them a text, send them an email, have multiple touch points, and whatever their preference is to respond, that's how they can do it. But you need to have constant communication. All right, next we're going to talk about some ROI stuff. So do you have tools in place to track your ROI? Do you actually know what your marketing is making? Are you tracking all the leads and seeing if they turn into calls and which marketing tool led to that lead? You really want to keep track of how many leads you're getting each month, how much you're spending, and then the revenue that's generated. You can use things like Google Analytics to see if you're increasing traffic. You want to track your rankings on your keywords to see if those are improving. But the big one is going to be call tracking. So there's all kinds of ways to do this with like Go High Level, What Converts, Call Rail. But every type of marketing you do should have a separate tracking number. So if somebody goes to Google Ads, it should be a different phone number. Your Google listing, different number. Your website, different number. Using tools like these, you can track all that. What Converts you can, I think Call Rail too. But that's how you need to have it dialed in so you can tell. And then from there, see if that turned into a job. So you can say, all right, I spent this much money on SEO, and then I generated 500,000 off SEO leads. We've worked with things like Service Titan, where we know Service Titan will do that, and you can track the entire sequence. So look into that for sure. All right, so we talked about these keywords, call tracking, Google Analytics. You can get dashboards to show the cost per lead, and then Service Titan is a one step forward. It is a little bit pricey, but they do a good job. All right, so we talked about this, the accelerated growth model, talked about driving leads, so all the different organic, paid, and database ways to generate leads. We talked about how to convert them through the website, reputation, automation, and then we talked about how to optimize the results too. So here is ultimate checklist for fencing and decking contractors, just so you have it if you want to take a screenshot or anything like that. So you can kind of go back to it. These will be in the workbook, so you can also check it out there. So we'll send the workbook out. And then this is some more stuff. So you don't really have to do this. It'll be in the workbook, so we'll send that out. Okay, so fence and deck marketers, this is what we do every day. We're always working on marketing for fencing and decking companies. So I wanted to see if anybody is thinking about their marketing for 2025. You probably are if you're on this webinar. But if you want to talk about your specific situation, if you want us to audit your website, we're happy to do that as well. Oops, too far. All right, so I want you to write down your top action items. So, like I said, I wanted this to be something that we actually follow through on and actually do, because it is stuff that can help your business grow a lot. So I'll give you a couple minutes, write down your top action items for this call. All right, so this is what we covered. We talked about our goals, our targets for the year, talked about KPIs, how to track them, how to create a plan, budget, all the different options that we want to go through, and then, basically how we could set us up for 2025 and beyond. All right, I will be sharing these workbooks in here along with a spreadsheet so you can plan it out. Let me bring it up here so you see it. This is a look at the workbook here. What's going on? All right, so this is the workbook. So you can put down your goals, your targets, all the different options you have, your annual revenue goal, monthly revenue goal, your goals for the year, what revenue you want, all of your different KPIs. So there's a lot of stuff in here. Also talking about creating your avatar, and then you'll have this to plan out your budget. So you'll be able to calculate what exactly, based on your conversion rate, your revenue goal, how many jobs you need. So you can put this in here. Shoot, I got to get the permissions, but you can change these numbers around and it'll update what you actually need to hit those goals. All right, in a sec. Okay. All right. If you have any takeaways, things you learned, feel free to put that in the chat. We're kind of wrapping up here, so feel free to put that in the chat. James said that Harvard study was crazy. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't believe that when I heard it either. So I try to write down my goals and have a plan, even if I'm not perfect at it, but I've already written it out. I bought one of those, they're called the Big Ass Calendar by Jesse Itzler, I think his name is, but allows you to plan the whole year. That's been pretty cool. All right. All right. Thanks for everyone that commented on there. If you have any questions about your marketing or want to talk with us, feel free to reach out. You can reach out through the website. It's the best way, deckfencemarketers.com. And also give us a call as well. So, last thing, social media. If you want to see our tidbits on social media, we post a lot of just value-based content, stuff that will help you improve your business like we went over today. Reach out to those different channels. So that's it. I appreciate everyone that came on today, and hope everyone has an amazing 2025. So take care.